Welkom bij Food for Thought van het Molosser Training Center. Er wordt veel gezegd over honden en hondentraining. Is er eigenlijk wel een absoluut fout of een absoluut goed? Of valt en staat het meeste met wie jij als persoon zelf bent en hoe jij niet alleen met mensen, maar ook met alle andere dieren op de wereld om wil gaan? Wat bepaalt jouw visie? Wie geloof je en waarom? Food for Thought vertelt je niet wat je wel of niet moet of mag vinden. Het geeft stof tot nadenken. Dit keer interview ik Roberto Barata. Roberto is gedragsbioloog en gespecialiseerd in hondengedrag. Hiernaast is hij de oprichter van HAS, de Human Animal Science Group. Ik stel Roberto vragen over de misverstanden binnen de omgang met honden. Waar ontstaat er verwarring met betrekking tot bijvoorbeeld terminologie en hoe ziet de gedragsbiologie dat dan wel? Ik wens iedereen heel veel luisterplezier en heel veel stof tot nadenken. Well, Roberto, thank you that you want to be my guest on this interview. Um, you have just to inform our listeners, you have a PhD in human animal sciences, and you are the founder of HAS, Human Animal Science. Can you give a little more information about HAS? What do you do? What is it?
Yeah, well, I'm a trainer. Okay, I'm not an academic. I took the academic education like 10 years ago, but I started before I had a driving license age. For that, I started to train dogs, and only with the time I started to go through a bit more academic part to understand some things, and at the same time it allowed me to improve others, and also see a bit of or having a bit of clarity about some big misunderstoods that still exists in the dog world, that will be easily demystified with a simple reading. And when I start with my academic studies, I started first in a very traditional public university. I didn't have a good perception of it. I can give you a quick example. One of the manuals was the Portuguese constitution, but it could not be any book, and the Portuguese constitution is for free. It had to be the book from the teacher of that
Okay.
course,
Okay.
with all the comments. So from that point, I started to see a bit how the academic world was. So I follow a bit no traditional way. I found some alternatives, some private universities that allowed me to they teach not what to think, but how to think. So they give us all the responsibility. And of course you can tell me, but the universities also allow the students to think. Yes, but then in the tests, if they write only what they think, they don't pass. They have mostly to copy what the teacher is saying. And preferably quotes from the teacher. So then you are sure that you will pass. If you have a bit of critical thinking, that you are not allowed to. That's how the things are, and let's see how it goes in the future. But all this to say that my main function, what I do here in Denmark, is working with dog owners. And basically is that I do my research on field. If I have any kind of specific questions, I do my own studies. And why? Because it does not. I really don't influence what I do here to read a study from problem behaviors in Argentina, for instance. Okay, that is there,
So,
that happens in their culture. So I do here, adapted to here, and then I try to update our work here in a way to bet in the prevention of the most problems. I don't like too much to call problems, but is the popular way to say, to address all that situations, and it has been very, very effective.
okay, well, it's very interesting what you're doing, and it's very interesting what you say about the teaching at university because, well, in my mind, it should not be like that, but apparently that's what it is. If I go back um, to the first thing you said, there was you had. Do you have some examples of misunderstanding in dog behavior that you wanted to clarify or demystify with your study?
How much time we have?
Take all the time you need.
There's a lot, but this is a root. It's a root problem. The discussions that we are seeing now in the dog world, it's everything based on morals. People talk about ethics, but it's not about ethics. It's about morals, and it's very hard to discuss morals because it starts to enter in an emotional discussion, and then we lose completely. There's no way to argue about it. But mostly the biggest misunderstoods that some families that contact us is related for the easiness of having a dog. So it seems that having a dog is the most easy thing in the world. So you just have to have the dog, treat like a baby. You can even call yourself a pet parent. And then if the dog does not follow what you are expecting, the dog has a problem. And in these days, is very easy. You have a pill, you have a gadget, or you have the death, because it's been very popular now. Was something that now I'm doing some research on this time because I'm working in a project that I will publish maybe next year. And I'm seeing that increase of the normalization of the death. We know that death is a normal thing, is the consequence of living. But the way that is being presented, I can tell you, and everything I'm saying here is not against individuals. Okay, it's what I see and my perception of the things. But when you see some kind of certifications in peaceful euthanasia, for instance, that was something that did a lot of confusion for me. But okay, then I went to a website to try to understand that, and there's one of the topics that lost me completely. That says we want to guarantee the client's satisfaction. So which client? The dog?
Exactly.
For the dog will not be very satisfied, right?
No,
Is the dog owners? The dog owners, after kill the dog, they will live with a smile. I mean, this is this normalization that needs to be addressed,
exactly.
and is not with discussions about tools, about methods, or about any nothing. Basically, it's what people are talking is nothing. Are feeding algorithms and nothing else. But basically, is that easiness that is being created, and all the problems that are created, they come with the solutions. with a price, of course.
Of course, yes. It's very interesting that you mention uh, euthanasia as yeah, a more and more common solution for problems that people have with their dogs, which shocks me as well. Um, and I agree that it's getting harder and harder for people to understand that, yeah, a dog is more than just a human baby. And if you love them enough, everything will turn out right. It's not like that. That brings me to my next question. Is it right to believe that because animals do have emotions, and we are pretty convinced that they do, can that, can we, because we know that, is it okay to expect that animals look at the world the way we do?
Well, to start, humans, they don't look well. Humans, I'm talking about us also, but humans don't look to themselves as animals that they are. That's the biggest problem of everything. If we really look and acknowledge that we are animals, a lot of confusion in this world and maybe wars will be avoided. But no, we look to us as someone that has to control everything. We have to control the wind, we have to control the sun, we have to control the other planets, we have to control everything. So this, when we already, maybe we don't born like that. Well, actually we born because we have the phenotypes that then starts to pass to the next generations. But even let's suppose that we are the what is called the tabula rasa, the blank state as we born. Then what we can have? We have a lot of brainwash, the way that we grow up with some kind of thinking, with some kind of control, always control. So it's natural that that also we start to pass that to the other animals. Regarding the emotions itself, you know that I cannot go too deep on that because my main area is ethology, and we look for and we classify what we can see. But even Darwin, he say that all individuals or species is the difference of a degree, not a kind. And I agree with that. I agree that all animals or species have the only difference is that is a degree. Maybe they don't feel the emotions as we feel, but it's something there, and it has to because it's physiology at the end. But then we also enter in the anthropomorphism part,
Yeah.
and that is one of biggest problems. I remember that I had I wrote a text some time ago because of one more trend say that we have to anthropomorphize the dogs to like them. Well, I don't agree at all,
Yeah.
and I explained there why. First, there was a confusion about what is anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is not denying or emotions or whatever to the other species. Anthropomorphism is when we attribute human characteristics, emotions, intentions, whatever, to no humans. And that is the problem. Because if we are using anthropomorphism, we don't know the species, we don't are willing to learn about the species. So in that part of the emotional side is basically what I can say. But regarding the ethology itself, I can also add that is a field that is not being used anymore in the dog training, and people are going a bit to that subjective part. Dog trainers now became neuroscientists, apparently, with a single theory. We only listen about Panksepp, but it's not only Panksepp. Actually, it's one of the most subjective theories within several ones. We have, for instance, the work of Ledoux, that for me it's very interesting, and we also have one from Ralph Adolphs. He wrote a book about animal emotions. It is something that I really recommend to someone that is interested in about emotions in animals, because the way that he presents, it's like a process of perception, of cognition, and Panksepp does not involve cognition. It's only the affective states. And
Sorry
also,
that I interrupt, but can you compare this book to Mark Becker's book, The Emotional Life of Animals, or is it totally different?
is totally different, because Adolphs is a neuroscientist and speaking about emotions as process, as a physiology, and even as behavior.
Okay. Yeah.
Because behavior itself is the result of several things. I use the analogy that is like a cake that is coming out from the oven when we see a behavior. And it's like almost like a cake. We see the structure, we see the form, and we can maybe guess what's inside, how it tastes, but it's a bit it's a lot of assumptions. And if we are not qualified, and if we don't have the correct tools, we cannot say which emotion the other is doing. Even between us, you cannot tell if
No,
I'm aggressive, if I'm fearful. You don't know,
no,
right?
that's true.
So
In addition to that, that there is a lot going on in the dog world the last 20, 30 years. It's like a shift from a more punishment-based dog training to love and peace and understanding the dog and moving along with the dog. And the one thing I always hear, or I hear it very often, is that the dominance theory doesn't exist anymore. How do you look at that?
well, it never
Because Nietzsche
existed.
has proven that it's
No,
yeah, Nietzsche
Mitch,
said it is
he
not
didn't
true.
prove. He didn't
No.
proven. 1 year ago or 2 years ago, he made an interview, and he clearly stated that he never said that dominance does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
About the dominance theory, well, is not debunked because it never existed. I I can tell you that I already read a lot of ethology books, and I never read about dominance theory.
Mm.
Okay, what we have is dominant behavior, which is a behavior that all social species have. Of course, that with the dogs we always like to put a bit more romantic, and no, he's not dominant. He's not been dominant. He's been now I don't
Reactive,
remember the word.
reactive.
No, reactive is for everything. When
Yeah,
you in doubt, just use reactive, and then people analyze as they want.
yeah.
Um, but is another word that I not remember. But it's everything. Basically, it's a lot of labels that are used to describe what really is